Joystick வச்சு ரெண்டு விரலால ஒரு wheelchair ஓடுமா? அது people could not believe. It was a concept then. So I had to first sell the concept and then sell the product to them, make them feel the product. People who have been wheelchair bound or chair bound for many years, then suddenly they get that independence and they start moving. It's unbelievable for them.
How they say necessity is the mother of invention.
Every single product that we have came out as a need of one individual's requirement.
Hi, good morning and welcome to one more edition of Ashwin Speaks. Indiki, we are going to meet a very special person. He is the founder and managing director of Callidai Motors. Callidai Motors is an organization that manufactures mobility devices and accessibility devices. முதலியே ஒரு சில வீடியோஸ்ல நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி I told you the importance of accessibility in all your houses for elderly. அதே மாதிரி உங்களுக்கு வேணும்னா எக்ஸ்டர்னல் கேட்ஜெட்ஸ் எந்த மாதிரியான கேட்ஜெட்ஸ் வாங்கிக்கலாம் அப்படின்னு ஒரு சில வீடியோஸில் நான் சொல்லியிருந்தேன். Callidai மோட்டார்ஸுடைய ஸ்பெஷாலிட்டியே இந்த மாதிரியான டிவைசஸை இன்னோவேட் பண்ணி இதை மேனுஃபேக்சர் பண்ணுறது தான் இவங்களுடைய ஸ்பெஷாலிட்டி. இன்னைக்கு we are going to meet ஸ்ரீ Bhargav Sundaram. வெல்கம் சார்.
நமஸ்காரம்.
நமஸ்காரம். Thanks for your time today. To start with, எனக்கு where did Callidai Motors idea germinate from?
First, I must thank you for giving me this opportunity. I feel very happy that I'm part of Ashwin Speaks show. And I hope the information that I share with you in this show will reach a lot of senior citizens who are on the lookout for technology, equipment, which will help them in their daily living. So, it all started in 1998. Callidai Motor Works was formed in 1998. And we wanted to be different. அதாவது நாங்கள் என்ன ஒரு வியாபாரம் பண்ணாலும் வியாபாரத்தை சம்மந்தப்பட்ட எந்த விஷயமா இருந்தாலும் டிஃப்ரெண்ட்டாக இருக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறது வாஸ் ஒன் ஆஃப் அவர் மேஜர் objectives. We wanted to be a pioneer in our business. I wanted to do something which nobody has done. I wanted to offer products which are very different, products that will help people who don't have other options. I also wanted to employ people who have not been given opportunities by other businessmen. ஸோ இதெல்லாம் மனசில் வச்சுட்டு 1998 Callidai Motor Works ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணோம். முதல்ல ஆரம்பிக்கும் போது வி ஸ்டார்டட் வித் எலக்ட்ரிக் சைக்கிள்ஸ். இது எப்படி வந்ததுன்னா எங்கள் தாத்தா K.R. Sundaram ஐயர் வாஸ் தி ஃபவுண்டர் ஆஃப் என்ஃபீல்ட், ராயல் என்ஃபீல்ட். ஸோ ஹீ வாஸ் த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பர்சன் டு பிரிங் மோட்டர் சைக்கிள்ஸ் இன் டு இந்தியா. திஸ் வாஸ் சம்டைம் இந்த mid-50s. அண்ட் நான் பிறந்ததுலேருந்து the time when I was growing up in school and then in college, motorcycles and Enfield were always there in my dreams, in my mind, always. அப்போது நான் வந்து டெக்னிக்கல் அந்த இன்ஜினியரிங் நான் படிக்கலைனாலும் ஐ ஆல்வேஸ் யூஸ் டு டூ லாட் ஆஃப் டெஸ்டிங் ஆஃப் என்ஃபீல்டு வெஹிக்கிள்ஸ் லைக் பிரேக் டெஸ்டிங், மைலேஜ் டெஸ்டிங், ஆக்சலரேஷன், கியர் ஷிஃப்ட்டு, அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய டெஸ்டிங் ஐ யூஸ் டு டூ ஓவர் வீக்கெண்ட்ஸ். ஐ யூஸ் டு கோ டு தேர் பிளான்ட் இன் திருப்பத்தூர் அண்ட் ஐ யூஸ் டு டூ தட். ஸோ ஆட்டோமொபைல் அண்ட் மோட்டர் சைக்கிள்ஸ் வேர் தேர் இன் மை ட்ரீம்ஸ் அண்ட் மை blood. So when I wanted to start something new, I thought it must have something to do with automobile. So electric cycles ஆரம்பிச்சோம் 1998ல, but it was too ahead of its times. The features could not match mopeds and motorcycles, and the price could not match cycles, and we couldn't change the mindset of majority of our prospective customers. So we had to change track. But even from day one, we've been employing persons with disabilities. So when I asked them for suggestions, அவங்க வந்து சார் நீங்கள் சைக்கிளில் மோட்டர், பேட்ரி அதெல்லாம் மாட்டுறதை வந்து எங்கள் வீல் சேர், ட்ரை சைக்கிள் அதிலலாம் மாட்டலாமே சார், எங்களுக்கு வந்து ஆப்ஷன்ஸே இல்லை, நாங்கள் கையால் வந்து ட்ரை சைக்கிளில் பண்ணிட்டு வரோம், வீல் சேரையும் கையால் பண்ணுறோம், எங்கள் ஷோல்டர், செஸ்டெல்லாம் ரொம்ப வலிக்குது சார், ஒய் கான்ட் யூ புட் த சேம் மோட்டர் கண்ட்ரோலர் எங்கள் வீல் சேர், ட்ரை சைக்கிளில் போட்டால் எங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப யூஸ்ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறோம் அப்படின்னாங்க. I thought it was worth trying because we had the people in our organization to try it out. I didn't have to go outside and testing வந்து இங்கே in-house.
How you tested Enfield's bikes and
exactly, correct, exactly. So முதல் ஒரு 2-3 வீல் சேருக்கு வந்து மோட்டர் கண்ட்ரோலர், இது அந்த சைக்கிளில் மாட்டின அதே மோட்டர் கண்ட்ரோலர்ஸ் எல்லாம் வீல் சேரில் மாட்டி அவளுடைய ட்ரை சைக்கிள்லையும் மாட்டினோம். And I asked them to try it out. And after a month, I got a fantastic feedback from them. And they said, sir, this is like God sent. It is fantastic, and it is going to make us more productive, more efficient. We have something to look forward in life. And they were appreciating the motor and the controller which were fitted on the wheelchair and tricycles. And they also said the product is ready for offering to customers outside. So slowly we started, it was difficult because people with disabilities, they are spread all over, and you don't see them in real life, daily life, you don't see them. Because the place, even wheelchair kuduthalom, the place where they'll be using it is not accessible. So most of the places outside is not accessible, is not conducive for wheelchair use.
Absolutely.
The same thing existed 30 years back. Things haven't changed much in 30 years, in 26 years now. So we had to search for our customers with a good product in hand. Customers I used to personally go and visit them. And in fact, I think first 6 or 7 years, I used to personally visit every single customer and hear their story and then offer our products, explain, because நாங்கள் பண்ணதெல்லாம் வந்து கான்செப்ட். அதாவது ஒரு ஜாய்ஸ்டிக்கை வச்சு 2 விரலால் ஒரு வீல்சேர் ஓடுமா, அது people could not believe. It was a concept then. So I had to first sell the concept and then sell the product to them, show them the product, make them feel the product. இது எப்படி இருக்குது நம்ம, ஏன்னா most of them used to own several wheelchairs and they didn't want to own one more white elephant. இதை வாங்கிட்டு அது ஒரு மியூசியம் மாதிரி வீட்டிலேயே இருக்கக்கூடாதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு everybody wanted to try it out. So literally, and these people cannot travel. They can't come outside the house, get into a car, come to my office, showroom. That was not possible. So literally, we had to take our products, and I used to have an Armada Grand those days. In fact, I bought that Armada Grand mainly to take wheelchairs to customers. Exactly. It was typical. It was a multi-purpose vehicle. It was also like my car. It was also serving as a truck. அது எடுத்துகிட்டு போயிட்டு ஒரு கஸ்டமர்கிட்ட காமிச்சு அவளை உட்கார வச்சு அதை ஓட்ட வச்சு, ஐ ஸ்டில் ரீகால், அவங்க உட்காந்துட்டு ஓட்ட ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டான்னா ஃபஸ்ட்டு தேவர் ஸ்பீச்லெஸ். தீஸ் ஆர் பீப்புள் ஹூ ஃபவுண்ட் இட் டிஃபிகல்ட் ஈவன் டு மூவ் அன் இன்ச். ஒரு சேரில் உட்காந்துட்டா சேரில் இப்படி நவுற கூட முடியாது அவளால், அந்த மாதிரி. ஸோ இமேஜின், they can't move in an inch from wherever they are sitting. And when this wheelchair made them independent, when the wheelchair made them move inside the house on their own, many of them could not even, they were choked. They couldn't even talk. I can still recall those faces. It happens even today. People who have been wheelchair bound or chair bound for many years, then suddenly they get that independence and they start moving. It's unbelievable for them. And இந்த டெமோ காட்டும்போது அந்த வீல்சேரில் உட்காந்து அவளை எழுப்புறதே கஷ்டம். சார் நான் கிளம்புறேன்னே சொல்ல முடியாது. அவள் உட்காந்தது அதில் உட்காந்து, பிகாஸ் தேவ் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் சம்திங் விச் தேவ் நெவர் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் இன் த லைஃப். தே வாண்ட் டு டிரைவ் இட், கீப் டிரைவிங் ஃபார் ஹவர்ஸ் டுகெதர். அண்ட் எவ்ரி சிங்கிள் அப்பாயின்மெண்ட் வித் த கஸ்டமர் யூஸ் டு டேக் 2-3 hours. அங்கே விட்டு அவளை கேள்வி கேட்டு, அவள் பல கேள்வி கேட்டு, அங்கேருந்து அவள் வீல்சேர்னு எழுந்து வரதுக்கு 3 மணி நேரம் 4 மணி நேரம் ஆகிடும். ஐ ஸ்டில் ரீகால் தோஸ் lovely time I used to have with customers, getting a lot of information, getting exposed to different types of disabilities. Disability na namakku therinju maybe polio therinjirkalam, or amputation, maybe amputees we know, but there are dozens and dozens of different types of disabilities.
Quadriplegic people,
quadriplegia, adala paraplegia, these are usually an outcome of or injury to the spine or to the head injury or spinal injury will result in paraplegia or quadriplegia. But there are congenital disorders. There are problems like muscular dystrophy is one, and there are several types of muscular dystrophies. Then there are motor neuron diseases, ALD. There are many types of different problems, but basically these all affect your muscles and your neurosystem. So most of my customers, barring senior citizens, who will be the heroes and the heroines for today's talk, most of the people are people with neuro and neuromuscular problems. That includes the senior citizens as well. But when it comes to octogenarians or septuagenarians, 70-80 வயசுக்கு மேல இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கு வந்து ortho problems are also there. Arthritis இருக்கு, and then generally their whole body gets more tired and they get weak.
Post-operative conditions.
அதெல்லாம் temporary disabilities which also require all the...
Sometimes temporary disabilities, it runs to several months or even up to a year. if it is a prolonged ailment or a prolonged treatment, it runs to several months or even more than a year.
Absolutely right. It can be probably even amputation, for example, or it can be a heart-related issue, some myopathy type of problems, or some correction of the spine, or even ACL for that matter, anterior cruciate ligament replacement பண்ணும்போது, or knee replacement, hip replacement, it could take 3 to 6 months for the person to become minimum mobile. Basic mobility will take 3 to 6 months. And when it comes to slightly more serious injury like the spine, they could become paralyzed for a few months, or as you rightly said, for more months, or even for a year, or even longer. And sometimes these people have to be taught how to walk. They have to they have to start all over again. எப்படி நடக்கணும்னு கத்துக்கிறது. So அதுக்கெல்லாம் we have equipment which we can probably talk a bit later. So as you rightly said, permanent disabilities are there, congenital disorders, mobility disorders are there, and as you rightly said, there are temporary disablement of individuals when they undergo a surgery or some ailment or sickness or whatever, and it takes a few months for them to recover. So இது எல்லாத்துக்குமே mobility is required, and we have those equipment, wheelchairs. And அதாவது இப்போ mobility and accessibility இந்த ரெண்டு terminology generally people get confused. Mobility na generally ellame mobility adil illa, accessibility ellam illa. When a person has to move physically, an equipment that enables the individual to move physically is a mobility device. That equipment is called a mobility device. And in order to make this mobility equipment usable in the environment, in the place where the person is going to use, to make the place accessible and conducive for wheelchair use, is accessibility. There are equipment which will make the place accessible. The most visible such equipment is a ramp. Ramp நிறைய பேர் பார்த்திருப்பா, ஒரு பில்டிங் குள்ள ஏறறதுக்கோ இல்ல ஹாஸ்பிடல்லையோ they would have seen ramps. Ramps, there are permanent ramps, temporary ramps, portable ramps.
Steel fabricated or ramps?
Ramps only we use aluminium. Because especially if permanent cement brick and mortar வச்சு பண்ற ramps இருக்கு. Those who don't want a permanent structure there will look out for a portable or a dismantleable ramp which has to be in aluminium so that it's lightweight.
Correct.
But we design it in such a way that it is very strong. Despite using aluminium, we ensure that the thickness of the aluminium we use, the grade of aluminium we use is very strong, that can take 300-350 kgs when somebody along with a heavy wheelchair, a heavy person using a heavy wheelchair going on a ramp is very safe. And alokku we ensure that the material are selected and used.
Another interesting product, we'll come to all the products later, but since we spoke about the RAM in terms of accessibility devices, what interested always was very interesting to me of your products was the staircase lift. Very, very interesting product. Almost எல்லா சீனியர் சிட்டிசன்ஸுக்கும் அந்த பழைய வீடு வச்சுட்டு வீட்டுக்குள்ளேயே ஸ்டேர்கேஸ் வச்சுட்டு இருக்கிற எல்லா சீனியர்ஸுக்கும் இந்த ஸ்டேர்கேஸ் லிஃப்ட் தேவைப்படும். And tell me about it and how safe it is also.
Okay, I'll go back to my old story. When we started giving our wheelchairs, wheelchairs were my first range of products. Today we have about 35 different types of wheelchairs. I will share those photos and a few videos with you. அது நாங்கள் கஸ்டமருக்கு ஆஃபர் பண்ணும்போது, as I told you, customer thought it was all God sent. அதாவது Callidai Motor Works were their savior அப்படின்னு people started thinking. And they started asking for different products which will make their life easy. So many of them had their bedroom or their apartment itself in the first floor. சார் வீல் சேர்லாம் கொடுத்துட்டு சார் நல்லா இருக்குது, நாங்கள் யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். இப்போ எங்களுக்கு மாடிக்கு போகிறதுக்கு என்னோட பெட்ரூம் மாடியில் இருக்குது. வி ஹாவ் எ இண்டிபெண்டன்ட் ஹவுஸ். மாடியில் எங்கள் பெட்ரூம் இருக்குது, கீழே பெட்ரூமே கிடையாது. இப்போதைக்கு we are sleeping in the living room. We want to go back to our bedroom in the first floor. இதுக்கு எதாவது நீங்கள் பண்ண முடியுமா அப்படின்னு my existing customers started asking me. This was in the mid 2000, அதாவது 2005-2006, அந்த first decade of 2000. And I couldn't say no to them. In fact, even I found it difficult to identify, as I told you, to search for customers and get orders. It was difficult for me also. And ஒரு கஸ்டமர் இது பண்ண முடியுமா அப்படின்னு கேட்கும்போது I did not want to say no. So sometimes I did not even know how I'm going to make it, but I said I will give you, I will make it.
How they say necessity is the mother of invention.
Every single product that we have came out as a need of one individual's requirement. அப்படி வந்தது தான் இப்போ இங்கே நீங்கள் பார்க்குற ப்ராடக்ட்ஸ் எல்லாமே ஆல்மோஸ்ட் ஆல் த ப்ராடக்ட்ஸ் தட் ஐ ஹேவ் கேம் அவுட் ஆஃப் த நீட் ஆஃப் ஒன் பர்டிகுலர் இண்டிவிஜுவல். அவள் சொல்லி ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஒரு பட்டன் வந்து பின்னாடி முதுகு சாயணும் அப்படின்னு முதல்ல ஒரு கஸ்டமர் கேட்டதை வச்சு நாங்கள் பண்ணது. when it became successful, we started offering that function to other customers.
அல்வா வீல் சேர்லேயே ரிக்ளைனர் மாதிரி
வீல் சேர்லேயே பட்டன் வந்து பின்னாடி சாயம், கால் தூக்கும், சீட்டு மேலே கீழே போயிட்டு வரும். And for paraplegics and quadriplegics, they can even come to a standing position. அதில் மெடிக்கல் ப்ளஸஸ் நிறைய இருக்குது. அதில் it helps the person in recovering, or it makes the person feel very comfortable. So that is as far as those wheelchairs are concerned. இதே மாதிரி என்னாச்சு, மை கஸ்டமர்ஸ் அவள் வந்து மாடிக்கு போகிறதுக்கு ஒரு சொல்யூஷன் கேட்கும்போது we started developing the staircase lift. Of course, it has all evolved over a period of time, and we were also inspired by a few stair lifts that were available elsewhere in the world. அப்போது இன்டர்நெட் வாஸ் ஷெல் அக்கௌண்ட்னு இருக்கும், அது ரொம்ப ஸ்லோவாக இருக்கும். அதெல்லாம் பார்த்து we somehow downloaded video.
ஹேண்ட் ஷேக் பண்ணுறதுக்கு ஒரு அரை மணி நேரம் ஆகும்.
ஸோ இப்போ கூட பஃபரிங்லாம் ஆறுது. அந்த காலத்தில் வந்து ஒரு 10 MB வீடியோனால ஒரு half an hour 45 minutes ஆகும். So we got inspiration from a few and we started making our own stair lifts. And அதாவது we did not have a front runner. We were setting the benchmark. We were introducing all these products for the first time in India. So we didn't have somebody ahead of us from whom we could take standards, quality, we could not do that. So முதல் நாள்லேருந்தே முதல் வீல்சேர் பண்ணுறதுலேருந்தே we ensured that our products had 400-500% factor of safety, where a 1.2 mm thick tube or a pipe is sufficient. We put a 2 mm, 2.4 mm, 2.5 mm thick pipe. அந்த மாதிரி இப்போ இந்த மோட்டர் 100 watts மோட்டர் போடணும்னா we used to put 300 watts மோட்டர். எதுக்கு சந்தேகம்னு, இது 100 போதும், பட் ஸ்டில் to be sure that the product will be very good, will be heavy duty, will last for a long time, and the customer should enjoy the benefit for a long time, we sort of over-engineered, which probably is not right, but we were, adula the inspiration was from Indian Railways. Indian Railways, in fact, we did something for Indian Railways in the early 2000s, 2003, 2004. We made a lifting device which can lift a wheelchair-bound passenger into a coach. Appo we used to have these general discussion about how they make the coach and all that. Appo one of the designer, the chief mechanical engineer, told me, it's all having 400-500% factor of safety, sir. And the steel la avlo strong. In fact, naanga vandu coach construct pannittu, when we place it on the rail, we use a crane. Sometimes it will slip and the coach will fall from even a height of 10 feet or 15 feet. It will fall. We don't have to worry about any damage to the coach. All we had to do was lift the coach again and put it back on the rail. Everything was perfect. That is because it had 400% factor of safety. So probably that I still remember, because I think it was 2002 or 2003. Even after 21 years, I remember, because that was one of the inspiration for us to make our products built with a very high percentage of factor of safety. So that continues. So as far as safety is concerned, that was the reason. And staircase ipo the last maybe 15 years we are making, and our first installation is still working. Our first installation was in a Callidai diagnostic center. There is a diagnostic clinical lab on Radhakrishnan Salai in Chennai. We gave them in 2008, so that is 16 years now, and it is still working very well, and we support them with spare parts and service. And they are happy, whenever they, in fact, they say it's working so well. Please, if you want any of your prospective customers to come and see, we'll be happy to show them the lift, and we'll even be happy to talk to them. So that's a kind of trust and confidence we have built in the minds of our customers.
So wherever people are required a capsule lift of 1 or 2 people, hydraulic lifts like this is as good as hydraulic lift. But the only thing is, a wheelchair cannot be taken. A person can sit and go.
Yeah, we can't say this is a substitute for that. In fact, we offer hydraulic lifts also. So that's where 2 or 3 people have to go at the same time. Of course, our hydraulic lifts, we call them domestic home lift. It is not a regular commercial lift, and we don't use the traction motors which are generally used for the lifts that you see in hotels and hospitals. The difference is, those are all meant for continuous duty cycles, whereas our lifts are not continuous duty cycle products. You can use it, say, 2-3 times an hour. And it is all battery driven. Englodiya product are all battery driven, mainly because there are power cuts, and we don't want our users to get stuck. அதாவது இப்போ ரெகுலர் லிஃப்ட் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பவர் கட் இருக்கும்போது கீழே மட்டும் வரதுக்கு தே ஹேவ் கிவன் சம் ப்ரொவிஷன். பட் எங்களுது வந்து பவர் கட் இருந்தாலும் மாடி கீழே வந்து ஒரு 5-6 வாட்டி ஈஸியாக போயிட்டு வரலாம். ஸோ this is more in keeping in mind the requirement and the safety of the customer. ஏன்னா அவள் வந்து when they depend on this to go to upstairs and downstairs, in case of medical emergency, if they have to go up, for example, they have to go up in a medical emergency, அதுவும் it must be possible. In a traction lift, those going up is not possible. Usually you can go down. So, and other usage எப்படின்னா, where the staircase is very narrow, where we cannot install a staircase lift, we provide a domestic home lift. The hydraulic domestic home lift வந்து it's a very simple mechanism, and இதுக்குன்னு தனியாக மெனக்கெட்டு ஒரு இடமோ ஒரு குழி தோன்றதோ, அந்த பிட்டுன்னு சொல்லுவா இல்லையா, பிட்டு மிஷின் ரூம்லாம் தேவையில்லை. If an opening of say 3x3 or say 4x4 is given on the roof of the ground floor, we can install a lift in that place within 45 days.
And that lift comes with an enclosure or is just a plate?
It's a choice. If they just want a cage-like system with railings on all 4 sides, they can do that. If they want slightly more complicated, more, I would say, more sophistication, like a complete glass carriage and all that, we can do that also. It depends on the user. Some of them feel that as long as it's functional, it's enough. And they might be a bit more cost conscious. Some people would want a complete cover as well. So we give them options.
And this can be installed only indoors or?
Very good question. So sometimes it can be not a very large house, and that could be space constraint. We can put it outside as well. In fact, I would say 50-50. 50% of all the lifts that we have, domestic home lifts that we have installed, 50% will be outdoor and 50% indoor. Outdoor, we have a self-supporting structure. So, the shaft and the lift, the shaft, and the shaft, civil construction, we have a self-supporting structure which might take 15 to 20 days to construct. And maybe another 20-25 days. If the indoor lift can be installed in 45 days, the outdoor will take about 60 days. And we can have a complete structure in place outdoor. Outdoor la eppadi nanna கீழே என்டர் பண்றதுக்கு எப்படி வேணா என்டர் பண்ணிக்கலாம். மாடியில் என்டர் பண்றதுக்கு தனியா அதுக்குன்னு ஒரு டோர் இல்லைன்னா the egress or the exit can be in a balcony, or we can modify a window. கொஞ்சம் சிவில் ஒர்க்கு, அந்த விண்டோவை வந்து கொஞ்சம் பெருசாகி டோர் மாதிரி பண்ணிடுவோம். We just have to break the bottom portion of the window and make it a door. The window will become a door. Anga வந்து we will have the exit in the first floor.
And is the licensing requirement for this home lift is the same as?
This doesn't come under the purview of the lift act. அது வரல. ஏன்னா we are not using a 3-phase power. We are not using the regular power. It's only battery power, and we need only charging for the charger, only for charging the batteries. And there is no fluctuation. There is no major power involved here. So it doesn't come under the lift act as such. But we, again, as I mentioned earlier, we ensure that there is 400% factor of safety.
I understand that.
The quality of material, the safety precautions in terms of cut-off switches, limit switches, fuse, adala we have in plenty. And these hydraulic home lifts also have a manual bypass feature. So if in case they're stuck for whatever reason, the battery runs down, we have a system by which the user themselves can just press a button. It'll come down. It'll come down and it'll stop. That's the manual bypass. And the சமயத்தில் மட்டும் current இல்லாத சமயத்தில் மேலே கீழே 5-6 வாட்டி போய்க்கலாம். But when the next stage, when the battery runs down, battery charge இல்லாத சமயத்தில், it will not make the user get stuck halfway. They can press a button which will make the lift come down.
It will work like an ARD.
Exactly. So, அந்த சமயத்துக்கு மட்டும் பண்ற மாதிரி.
Excellent.
People with arthritis will find it very difficult to even go up a flight of 3-4 steps. We provide appropriate wheelchair for an individual. It is not like one wheelchair fits all.
So almost every product that you deliver is at least a little bit customized for the customer. Am I correct?
Say more than 50% of the times, it will be customized to a large extent. We have half a dozen chairs which we rent out to senior citizens, either on a temporary basis or even a slightly more semi-permanent basis.